हेलो,
Yeah.
हाँ जी आ रही है बस।
आवाज आ रही है?
Yeah, your sound is very clear. Okay, go ahead.
I thank you, Swamiji, Divya Chetnanand ji, for inviting me for this seminar. And regards to the chair. And my topic for today is the philosophy of Anandamurti, the philosophy of Anand Marga of Anandamurti. Many books have been written by Sri Anandamurti, and they had been published in Bengali and then translated into English, etc. But to understand the deeper meanings of his writings, we must first begin to understand the surface meanings. And all philosophy actually begins with introspection. All philosophy begins with the raising of the questions, introspective questions like, who am I? Where am I going? There is no other being that raises this kind of question. It is only the human being, the highest evolved being, that raises such questions. The human being possesses self-consciousness, which makes him far superior to the animals. Human beings are equipped with the capacity to distinguish between good and bad, right and wrong. And with the help of their consciousness, and when they are in trouble, they use this consciousness to find a way out and get away from the difficult situations. Man has the urge to look for happiness and uses his faculties to search for happiness. As we have seen, the meaning of Ananda actually cannot be translated merely to happiness, because this term has a much wider connotation than mere just happiness. But that we have to know the Indian languages or Sanskrit, in which, or the other Indian languages which are derived from that, which can really convey the meaning of Ananda. And all ethics also, this synonymous of all life, what is the goal of the entire life? To seek happiness. And that is what is the Ananda Marga of Sri Anandamurti. So in the search for happiness, people are first attracted to the physical enjoyments. They try to earn wealth and power and position, satisfy their desire for happiness. They always feel that they have less, and if they have some more, then they would be happy. Thus, the race to accumulate more and more begins. The mere acquisition of something limited only creates want for more and more. Whether it's more money, more possessions, more power, so we can, there is the hunger which is limited and infinite. Now man wishes to have limitless money and power, but the world itself is limited, and here we cannot acquire anything of an infinite nature or something which is eternal, which will provide everlasting happiness. So what the question then arises, what is that infinite eternal thing which will provide everlasting happiness? In an attempt to answer this philosophical question, Anandamurti ji falls back on the traditional Indian wisdom of the ancient rishis, pointing towards the cosmic entity alone, which is infinite and eternal, because that alone is limitless. The eternal longing of human beings for happiness can only be achieved by realization of the infinite. For the ephemeral nature of worldly possessions, power, and position can only lead one to the conclusion that none of the things of the finite or limited world can set to rest the everlasting urge for happiness. The acquisition of the three P's, position, power, and possessions, only gives rise to further longing. Only realization of the infinite can put an end to this longing and provide everlasting happiness. The infinite can only be one, and that is the cosmic entity or the Brahm. It is the same entity that is referred to in the Sankhya philosophy as Brahm or Shiv. The quest for the entity is the characteristic goal for all human beings. It is the nature of every human being. This alone is the dharma of every person. And this word dharma also cannot be really translated into the other languages easily, and especially into English. But you can say that it means property. So the word dharma, in a sense, signifies property, but it really cannot be translated. Let us take the example because that serves as a good way of understanding the word. So the degree, the nature of fire is to produce heat or to burn. This is the characteristic property of fire. Similarly, the dharma of being human is to seek the cosmic entity. The degree of divinity in human beings is indicated by the conscious attempt to seek this divinity as opposed to animality of other animals. Humans, on the other hand, display rationality. The animality in man seeks physical enjoyments, that is eating, enjoying eating, drinking, and gratification of other desires, which do provide happiness. But that happiness is neither infinite nor permanent. Animals are satisfied with these limited enjoyments because even their urge is not infinite. But man, you see, in his greed, he wants more and more and more. And as has been pointed out by Professor Ramkiran, it is because of this infinite urge of more that the balance of the earth, of our planet, has been shaken, and now we are in the grips of the pandemic. Dharma comes from the root dhra, and which means to hold, that which holds an entity together, which maintains the structural solidarity without which the entity could not exist. According to Anandamurti, dharma is of two types. The swabhavik dharma, the natural dharma, which involves ahar, nidra, bhaya, and maithun. But this is limited more to the and lowly or to the animals. So Ananda Marga considers all these things to be natural. But if the individual consumes too much of his energy in these tendencies, then the spiritual tendency or the spiritual development will not progress and it will remain retarded. Spiritual success lies in gaining complete control over these activities, in channelizing all the animal instincts toward the cosmic being, not in denying them or avoiding them. The other dharma is the Bhagavad dharma. It is that which leads to Bhagwan. When humans are no longer satisfied with the above instincts, they begin to realize that the physical and mental objects can never satisfy their limitless thirst. Then they begin to direct their energies towards the dharma or the Brahm. Dharma is one of the four main vrittis which is located at the Mooladhara chakra, which represents the potentialities of all humans in the realms of the physical, the psychic, the psycho, spiritual, and the spiritual. And these tendencies are Kam, Artha, Dharma, and Moksha. According to Anand Marg, the word dharma also signifies property. The English word for its nature is nature, characteristic, or property. The nature of fire is to burn or to produce heat. Similarly, the dharma or nature for human beings is to seek Brahma, the supreme blessedness, the four-footed dharma. Now, the four aspects of dharma are vistar. That one is expansion. So it is the ability to adapt and change and grow with the new circumstances. So it is the continuous expansion of the mind towards the infinite. The God Vishnu is seen as an all expanded entity. All expansion ends in him. The first lesson of Anand Marg is sadhana. When the mind constantly about the infinite, gradually it expands its dimensions until it becomes one with the cosmic identity. The second aspect is rasa, or flow. For the Param Purush, there is nothing external. Everything is eternal, internal. The psychic waves that are created in the universe, the different wavelengths of the psychic waves create the various entities. Because of the svaras or his own flow, because of this, there is a difference between one individual and the other. And each has his own ambitions and anger. According to Swara of Param Purush, though the whole cosmos is decided, always taking the ideation of the Supreme with every action, is the practice of rasa, trying to keep the ever immersed in the cosmic flow. The third is seva, and seva is not a business. It is do something without expectation of return, and that is what is the real service. So there are internal service and external and antarik. Antarik is done through jap and dhyan, and there is the climax of service. Everything will be done. When the internal service is not done properly, the external one is also a failure. The internal seva, the mind is purified, and with the purified mind, internal seva can. Brahma, the goal of Bhagavata Dharma. This is the goal. The nucleus of Bhagavad Dharma is the nucleus of the cosmos. Knowingly or unknowingly, we are all moving around him. Man is considered to be part and parcel of that. As long as there is a feeling that one is a drop and not the ocean, then there is separation. But the unity comes once energies are channeled towards that goal. The spiritual aspirant should be like a lotus. It grows with the roots in the filthiest of ditches, but its beautiful white flowers are never sullied by any impurity. Even if the mud splashes on its bed, it rolls off, leaving no trace. The spiritual aspirants should live and work in the world in this way with their mind unaffected, because it is all fulfilled with the thought of the Supreme. The reflection of the cosmic consciousness in the individual entity is the Jiva. This reflection is falling on each and every entity's reflecting plate, both animate and inanimate. Mind is developed or not, every entity reflects the consciousness according to its capacity. The more developed it is, the more subtle the mind, the clearer the reflection, and the stronger the attraction to the Supreme Soul. The Supreme Consciousness or Paramatman is one, but it appears many because of its reflection in the many reflecting plates. Ananda Marga philosophy explains its basic reason thus. By the reflection of the moon in several buckets of water, it appears that there are many moons, but actually there is only one. Only the reflections are many. When the reflecting plate is dissolved, when the mind is suspended, then there is no longer any difference between the unit soul, that is the Jivatman, and the Paramatman. Origin of the universe cannot be explained. Even he who knows cannot talk about it. But Ananda Marg says that there is no end for vision, as it issues from Sagun Brahman, and he is infinite. The explanation goes on like this. The universe is created, not Nirgun Brahman. The pure consciousness needs the help of the Trigunas of Prakriti for creation, and they function within Gun and Nirgun. For creation to be expressed, there must be a resultant of the clash between the gunas. Sagun Brahma is not under bondage. He is Gun Adish, controller of the gunas, but cannot go outside of them or withdraw them. Actually, Saguna and Nirgun are not two different entities at all. If this were true, then God could not be considered singular, and this would not be monotheistic theory. Rather, they are different states of a singular entity, Sagun Brahma, and is like a frozen iceberg in the of Nirgun Brahman. Further, it is explained that the body of the Purush, under whose change due to localized influence of Prakriti, then the consciousness is transformed into objectivity and the universe is expressed. Everything in the universe is a reflection of the Purusha, and there is nothing that is outside of him. The goal of yoga is to experience at all times the reality of that consciousness behind the semblance of this manifested world. Since the universe itself is a small, naturally the human capacity is bound to be much less than that. Man has very little scope of knowing what is actually happening all around. His knowledge is limited. Parama or Sagun Brahm is a beginningless, endless, continuous flow. To attain him has to become beginningless and endless. And the only way open for us is to merge his insignificant I in that great I. It is only in such a condition that he will not know his characteristic self with the help of his inner intellect, that he will recognize his real entity, his real original selfhood. To conclude, Sri Anandamurti could see the depth of the classical Indian spiritual and philosophical traditions. He could see that only through the spiritual growth there can be real transformation in human beings. Human beings will start seeing God they will start seeing their own true forms in all living beings. They will discover their ecological relationships with all non-living entities too. And once transformation takes place, they will realize that there is no place for discrimination of any type on the basis of caste or creed or family or sect or society or nation. The spiritual practice of human-centric philosophy alone can manifest pure humanism. This was the main message